Willetta enters.
You're late.
I know it.
My name is Arminda Thomas, and I'm the dramaturg for this reading, this exploration of Alice Childress's Trouble in Mind. Watching this scene in particular, I am reminded of something Childress writes in her essay, A Candle in a Gale Wind, which I think is 1984. She talks about Kurosawa's film Rashomon, which has several characters giving their take on a crime that's being investigated, and only one of those takes is true. And then Childress says, in my stories, the characters all have different points of view, but all are telling the truth. And along with this, I am reminded of Childress's experience doing the first production of this play, Trouble in Mind, which was her first full-length play, and it was produced by Greenwich Mews Theatre, an off-Broadway house in Greenwich Village, run by a woman named Stella Holt, who was a sincere and serious, politically progressive woman. And she had this vision for a theater that would have interracial casting. She was a forerunner of non-traditional or colorblind casting, and even further, she produced plays about racial injustice, often from the point of view of African Americans, plays written and directed by African Americans. She produced William Branch's In Splendid Error and Langston Hughes's Simply Heaven. And she was a Paul Robeson sang at her funeral kind of progressive and ally, if you will. And yet, she was also the person who insisted that Childress change the ending of her play. This scene was not affected, but she insisted that Childress add an act that reflected a progressive vision of what ought to happen in the aftermath of a scene like this. And she threatened to yank the play if that truth wasn't reflected. And in 1955, Childress agreed to that because she wanted the play to be done and because it was already in rehearsals and, you know, all the reasons you give for not having your play yanked midway through the process. And on some level that did work out. The play was optioned for Broadway. It was a success with audiences. There were critics who gave the side eye to the third act, but you know, success, an option for Broadway. But along with that came more producers, more allies, insisting on more changes until Childress really felt like her original vision had been lost and the focus had been lost. And she finally yanked it and restored it to its original condition. So it would be 2 years before A Black Woman was finally produced on Broadway, and many years before this version of Trouble in Mind would see the light of day. Watching this, what I'm reminded of is that Manners is an ally, that she does not give us, you know, someone who is in fundamental opposition, or two people who are in fundamental opposition. She gives us people who are supposed to be on the same side, but that these are truths colliding in a system that is set up to favor one version of the truth and to wipe away the more inconvenient truth.
Mammy roll into something decent for you.
And when you got through, damn it, it was still a mammy pot.